Well, now that Scream 6 is out, it's time to rank this franchise once again. Let's get into it. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Hope you're all doing well out there. And it's time to rank the Scream franchise. But before we do that, do me a favor, like, comment, and subscribe. Join me here, I would appreciate that. 6 films. Let's start off with number 6. I'm going to come in with Scream 3. That came out in 2000, which was supposed to be the end of the Scream trilogy. Obviously, that's not what happened. But Wes Craven once again came back to direct this film. And while I do believe this is the weakest of the franchise, I just rewatched it last week. It's still a very fun and entertaining film. It's definitely the least scary or least suspenseful of the series. It's the biggest one of the original 3, for sure. And I like the movie set aspect of the film, playing with that, about going back to Woodsboro through these sets on the soundstage, and all the stuff surrounding this movie production of a stab film. Scott Foley is pretty good as Roman, as the killer. We get Lance Hendrickson in there, and we get all of our remaining cast back. And I like the new cast as well. I think it's a very entertaining film. I just think at the end of the day, it's the weakest one of the franchise. So at number 6, Scream 3. At number 5, the brand new Scream film, Scream 6. Yes, I enjoyed this film. Like I said in my review, the third act I have some major problems with. I'm not going to go into that again. You can watch that review. I go into it at length in that review. And this might move up over time. I got to watch it a few more times, let it marinate a little bit. But right now, today, as I record this is where I feel this one deserves to go. At number 5, the brand new one, Scream 6. At number 4, I'm going to go with the sequel to the original film, Scream 2. I've always liked this follow-up to the first film. This was a rush production. It came out the following year. They really rushed this into production and got it going. I remember seeing this in the theater. I think I saw it twice in the theater, actually, part 2. I've always enjoyed it. I think it's a very solid follow-up to the first film. It's not as good as the first film, obviously, and I think there's some that are better in front of it. That's why it's at number 4. But at number 4, Scream 2. At number 3, I'm going to go with Scream 5. Yes, the film that came out last January. I really like Scream 5. I just rewatched it a couple weeks ago. And with each rewatch, I like it even a little bit more, because this has moved up on my rankings since last year. I think this was a really great way to bring the Scream franchise back to prominence. Because unfortunately, back in 2011, when Scream 4 came out, and I really liked Scream 4, and it was the last film Wes Craven directed, sadly, it did okay. Scream 4 did okay. But it didn't do well enough because they were planning on a new trilogy, and obviously we never got that until Scream 2022 or Scream 5 came out. But I think it's a very strong kind of reboot of the franchise, or reinvigoration of the franchise. I thought it was really well done. I like the new cast, bringing Jenna Ortega in, and all the new cast, all that, Jack Quaid, all the new cast. I enjoyed it along with the legacy cast. So yeah, at number 3, Scream 5. At number 2, what I feel is the most underrated sequel of the Scream franchise, Scream 4. When Wes Craven came back, when they decided to bring the franchise back in 2011 with Kevin Williamson writing the script. I think Scream 4, I just rewatched it last week, is a very strong Scream sequel. That's why it's at number 2. It's actually my favorite Scream sequel. And with every rewatch, it just reinforces that in me, that this is my favorite of all of the Scream films, my favorite Scream sequel. So at number 2, Scream 4. At number 1, the original, still the best, and I don't know if it will ever be topped, Scream, the original 1996 Scream. I remember seeing this, not 96 when it first was released. I saw it in 97 in the spring in a drive-in. Blew me away. Bought the VHS when it was available. Yes, VHS. I've had it on DVD. I have it on 4K now. And I had it on Blu-ray and I have it on 4K. I love the original Scream movie. I think it's a fantastic horror film. And in the 90s, it brought horror back to prominence. There's a lot of good horror films in the 90s. The decade gets shit on a lot. There was a lot of great horror films before Scream came out, but Scream really injected some adrenaline into the horror community and the horror movies in general, and spawned a lot of imitators. I know he did Last Summer, which I just reviewed back in the fall. Urban Legend, which I just reviewed a couple weeks ago, and I liked that film. But it really brought slasher films back to prominence in the horror genre. And Wes Craven created two movies that really spawned really cool franchises: Nightmare on Elm Street in the 80s and Scream in the 90s. And yeah, the first one, the original Scream, is still the best. I love it. I watch it once or twice a year. So yeah, number one, Scream, the original Wes Craven directed Scream. That is my franchise rankings. What's your franchise rankings? Leave a comment down below. List all 6 in what order you enjoy them. There's no wrong answers here. We all have our favorites. So let me know what your thoughts are on the franchise. Hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, share this video. I would appreciate that. Bye.